be here. I'm so excited for the topic that I was given today, which is creating residual income. And we're going to talk about 3 different areas. We're going to talk about what residual income is. Then we're going to talk about what that looks like with doTERRA. And then we're going to talk about what this can look like in your personal journey. So just so I know who I'm talking to, raise your hand if you've already committed to build a doTERRA business and you're already building. Raise your hand. Okay, so that's most of us. Raise your hand if you're here just to investigate the possibility of doing doTERRA. Okay, so we've got a couple. Okay, I'm hoping there'll be something for all of us today. Let's talk first about what residual income is. My first experience with this, where it really, really blessed my life in a significant way, happened a couple years ago. We started doTERRA in August of 2015, and we'd used the product for like 4 years. We were like Molly, like never, ever, ever are we gonna do MLM. But we watched our friends who'd been doing doTERRA join this amazing tribe of humanitarian entrepreneurs. We saw their marriages getting better. We saw their kids getting better. We saw everything about their life getting better. And we were just drawn into this culture and into this tribe. And finally, after 4 years of using the product, we're like, we want to join them. We want to be a part of this. I want my kids to become like the kids of these families. I want to be associated with these people. So we worked super, super hard. We built to diamond in about 10 months. And on the day we were supposed to hit diamond, our sweet little 1-year-old broke open a window in our upstairs and fell down onto his head 2 stories on the concrete. And he was rushed to the hospital, and we didn't know if he was going to live. And it was the worst day of my life. It was weird. The day I hit diamond was the worst day of my life. And for 2 months after that, I was at rock bottom. I was taking care of him. He had many fractures. It was just the most horrible time. And during that time, I really didn't do anything with doTERRA. I'd been working like nuts, but I could not do a thing. I didn't make a phone call. I didn't help anyone. Nothing. And I remember being shocked when my check still came in. Every week I still got a fast start check, and I got a bigger check every single month. And I couldn't believe that that was happening. And that was the first, I don't know what I had thought, because I should have known it was going to come. But that was an experience that would forever, forever change me, because it made me realize this is what residual income can be for families. It means no matter what happens to you, whatever crisis happens, or a child needs you, or you need to take a trip, or whatever happens, you can have money come in while you're sleeping. But most of us who were raised in families that weren't really wealthy, we were taught, get a good education, work hard, and get a stable job where you'll be taken care of for the rest of your life. And I still believe that that has an incredible place in our society. But we are here because we are wanting to create a lifestyle that's more abundant, right? That can allow us to travel and do the things that we want to do. So here are some statistics of what people are going through. And I don't really feel inspired today to go into a lot of this. If you want to take a picture of it, you can see. But it just kind of shows what a bad financial state most of us in America are in. And that people retiring do not have the security that people had years ago. And that we are smart if we create residual income streams. And then it talks about 3 different things about finding a business that's a fit for you. So for those of you that raised your hand, you're wondering whether this is a good opportunity for you. Here are 3 things that you can ask yourself. Will this be relevant 10 to 15 years from now? Obviously. Oils, we're taking care of people's deep, deep needs. This isn't like a fad of like, oh, some nice smelling candles, right? These are things that fundamentally change the way people care for themselves for a lifetime. Is it true? Does it work? Is there integrity? Right? That's how doTERRA has completely redefined this industry, right? If you didn't choose to represent it or the product, would you still use or partake? 85% of people who order in doTERRA just use the product and are not doing the business. So the product stands on its own. So these are things that you can kind of think about. There's a parable that we talk a lot about, the buckets and pipelines. And since most of you are probably familiar with it, I won't take a long time on this. But this was the way I understood residual income when I started. That there was a man who had a great job hauling buckets of water up to his village up on top of the mountain. And this was a great job. He had great job security. But then he got this idea, what if I did that during the day and built a pipeline at night? So that was a lot of work for his family initially, right? Because he had to do his bucket job during the day and then build his pipeline. But after several years, There was one day after the pipeline was complete and he was able to go up on top of the mountain and turn that spigot on, and there was water, cleaner, fresher, better, ready to be used, and can make money while he's sleeping. The whole village can purchase for him. So this is the concept of residual income that's made while we sleep. Kids that are raised in wealthy families, where their parents really teach them a lot about wealth, usually residual income stream is all they talk to them about. It's just understood that that's how you make money. But for those of us that weren't raised in that environment, we have to learn when we get older. So this parable was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that famous book that helps people understand how to think outside of the box with money. So why make doTERRA your pipeline? Here are just some things if you want to take a picture of it. Obviously, unlimited earning potential, high retention rate, setting your own hours. Like in the summer, I set completely different hours for myself than in the school year. I can always make hours to put my family first. I can work from home. It's a stable, reliable opportunity. And then obviously co-impact sourcing, being a part of something bigger. Forbes magazine came out with an incredible article recently that said that doTERRA is changing the landscape of the developing world because our demand for oils is so massive, and most of the oils come from the developing world. We're putting all these people to work in the United States and outside of the United States. I was a Peace Corps volunteer for 2 years in Latin America in organic farming. And when I came to my first convention, I was expecting that scary stuff that Molly was talking about, like touch the Ferrari, bow down to the check, and I was just ready to puke because I was like, oh, to my husband, this is not what I wanted, you know? And then I walk into doTERRA and it's like this huge Peace Corps type love fest, like Peace Corps meets Tony Robbins, you know, wrapped up together. And I was like, I am home. I just love these people. This is a tribe that I want to be a part of for the rest of my life. Before we go into this, I just have a question. How many of you came here today because you want more financial security for your family? Okay, how many of you came here today because you're hoping to be part of something meaningful that can engage your life purpose? How many of you are hoping to associate with incredible people that will make your marriage and your family and your whole life better because of that association? How many of you are here because you hope to have a home someday that can facilitate your dreams and be the resting place and the haven for everything you want to create? How many of you would love that? The reason why I'm standing here on this stage today is because doTERRA has brought that all into my life over the past few years. And my hope in preparing this presentation and being here today is that that can come true for every single one of you today, and it can. These are the different ways that you get paid. We have the most dynamic, incredibly generous compensation plan in the business. My husband, who's the most critical lawyer on the planet, his brain, he's not critical to humans, but his brain, you know, he spent a month when we were considering the business examining the doTERRA compensation plans against others, and he just said is hands down the most generous, right? We get compensated for retail, we get compensated for enrolling people, that comes weekly, we get compensated for structuring our teams properly, we get compensated for supporting our teams down to the 7th generation and more, and we get compensated for hitting ranks. We get to actually be shareholders in this company. In a normal company, after they pay everybody, who gets all the extra? The owners, the shareholders, a very tiny group of people. In doTERRA, from what rank and above do you start getting a share in whatever extra the company makes every month?
Silver. Premier.
It was silver, it's now premier. Just premiers, right? It's not that hard to get to premier. Premiers get to be a part of that bonus pool. That means whatever the company makes after they've paid everybody, they divide it up from premiers and above. So when people talk about this being a pyramid scheme, I'm like, oh, you know what, that's really out of date, or you haven't studied doTERRA's compensation plan. There is no pecking order. We all start with that first share, with that first enrollment, with that first class, with that first business conversation, right? All of us start from the same point, and you get paid on whatever you create. Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar with the doTERRA ranks, I suggest you look up the compensation plan and ranks online. It's a lot, and it's too much for me to talk about in such a short presentation, but I'll just give you an idea. This is how much sales or organizational volume, as we call it, need to be going through to be these certain ranks, and then they build on each other. We always say elite is the building block of everything. So remember this elite, 3,000 OV. Some people are able to get to that in a couple months. That becomes the building block silver, right? Look what the average silver makes a month. Okay, and then gold, 3 premiers. Platinum, 3 silvers. Diamond, 4 silvers. Blue diamond, 5 golds. Presidential diamond, 6 platinums. And what this represents is an empire of lives changed, an empire of people that you are affecting. And my feeling is, as I'm looking out and looking into each of your faces, there are people out there in the world who are praying for an opportunity right now and who are the right people to work for you. One of the reasons why the upper levels in doTERRA are such good friends and we don't really feel like competition with each other is because there's a really strong feeling that there are people that need to be working with Molly out there. There are people that need to be working with Emily. There are people that need to be working with Justin. And there are people out there waiting and perfect to be working with you in your organization. Here's the average incomes. And I can testify that this is true. And it's connected with power of 3. So for example, the silver says it's over $2,000 a month. That is not true if you don't have your power of 3 structure in place, just so you know. But if you do, these are absolutely true to what we have experienced on our team. So even if you were to go really slowly, I love this. Take a picture of the slide. Take a picture of the slide. These are corporate slides, by the way, so I'm kind of adjusting. I added mine in a minute, and we're going to switch to some other stuff. But even if you went, quote unquote, slow in this business and you just did 1 rank a year, this is really slow. Look where you'd be in 10 years. And let's say it's really hard work. Aren't you working really hard anyway? Raise your hand if you work hard in your life. Where are you going to be in 10 years anyway? You're going to be working hard. My sister Marilee's here in the audience. I remember when I was asking her if I should get a master's degree because I was pregnant with my first baby, and she said, well, 2 years from now you can look back and say that, oh, I had a baby, or no, I was really busy and I had a baby. Or you could look back and say, I was really busy and I had a baby and I got my master's degree. It's like, you're going to be busy anyway, just do it, right? 10 years. And if you did 1 rank a year, well, here you give yourself a couple extras. Confucius said, it does not matter how slowly you go, so as long as you do not stop. Okay, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about reputation. Now, don't be shy here. Raise your hand if you already have an incredible reputation as a business woman or man. Okay, it's okay if you do. Look, okay, we've got some superstars here. Okay, raise your hand if you already have a massive, huge network. Okay, so some of us are starting kind of from scratch. Let me just give you like a word to the wise here. I can't tell you how many people I've seen who have all the potential in the world who quit after a few months or a year or 2 years or 3 years because they're not diamond yet or because they're not whatever yet. And I feel like saying to them, dude or lady, it takes time to develop your reputation. If you don't already have a reputation as a business person, if you don't already have a network, it takes time to build this up. Let me give you an example. So I'm a professional singer, musician, conductor, okay? So I had, I think 7.5 years total formal education, higher education, counting my bachelor's degree and my graduate work. So when I got out of that, we moved to a small town where my husband became a DA, fresh out of law school, and I'm thinking, oh, these people, they're gonna be so happy. They have me here to give them voice lessons, they're gonna be so excited. And I made flyers, sorry, that sounds really conceited. I wasn't really thinking that, but I was thinking, oh, they're so lucky to have me because I have education, blah, blah. So I made these flyers. I put them in every elementary school, every middle school, and the huge high school there, thousands of flyers, okay? To sign up voice lessons with Emily. Guess how many people I got from that? From thousands of flyers going out. Guess how many people signed up to take voice lessons from me? Just guess a number. It is a number. 10. 10? 5? Keep going.
0.
2. Did someone say 2? 2 people! That's the number! 2 people signed up. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I put my credentials on there. Like, there's nobody here is doing anything in music. I can't believe only 2 people. Anyway, but I just realized, you know what, Emily? This town doesn't care. They don't care what education you have. They just want to see a product. So I told God at that moment, okay, loaves and fishes with these 2 students. So I made a decision. These 2 students and I were going to put on the best show ever, the 3 of us together. We were going to invite everyone. And from then, we made a really good show. And then the next time I had 11 students. We did another big show, invited the community. The next time I had 24. By the end, I was like out of my ears. I had 68 students. So it was insane. But that took years of developing that reputation. So give yourself the years to develop the street credibility, to develop all these skills. Everything you've heard today, you're not going to be able to implement that all tomorrow. You're going to maybe be able to implement one thing Give yourself time to become good. Be willing to be horrible at this for a while, you know? Just dive into it. So, you have a question, or the question that I'd like to pose to you. How do you want to play? Do you want to get your oils for free? Is that how you want to build? Just share a little to do that? Do you want to supplement your income and still keep your career? Or do you want to multiply and replace your income? Because of doTERRA, my husband was able to quit his soul-sucking job, and he owns his own law firm now. We're able to move 10 minutes away from a ski area, which is what we've always wanted. All the dreams that we've wanted, we've been able to do because of doTERRA. Been able to multiply and replace. Okay? So those are the things that you want to kind of keep swirling in your mind. What is your heart goal? And so in order to do that, it's really simple. These are the 3 things you're constantly going to be doing till the end of time, just what Molly talked about, sharing oils, enrolling customers and builders, and then launching those builders to do the same. This is the bread and butter, you guys. This is where it's at. And the social media, all of that is a great support, but when you stop doing this, your team stops. I'm telling you, I know this from experience. So if you're brand new, this is going to be your wheelhouse to start. This is where you are going to live, right here. 3 steps. Set a goal, write your hundreds names list, and schedule your presentations, and invite and share oils to those presentations. You're going to have so many squirrels, as Justin was talking about, everywhere. This is where you're just going to live. Don't worry about all the ranks and all the everything crazy. Just set your goal, make your list, and get oils on people. Okay? So what are the 3 things you're doing? You're going to do what? Set your goal, then what? Make a list, and then what?
Oil people.
Get oils on people. Well, it says launch your business. I like get oils on people, get them to your classes. Okay, so let's talk for a minute. Raise your hands again, those of you that have been doing this for a while. How many of you feel like you have been out to sea and are just kind of treading water? You're not leading some great ship to the promised land. You're just out in the middle of the ocean treading water. And you find that everybody you're enrolling is just replacing everyone that's quitting, right? Does that happen sometimes? And that happens even sometimes when you're first starting. You're going to start to see rejection and some of that happening. All right, so this happens usually, and for those of you that are just starting, this can happen in a few months. When your low-hanging fruit are gone, you've enrolled your mom and your grandma and your auntie and maybe the people in your church community and, you know, whoever your close people are, there comes a point in the road when the low-hanging fruit are gone, when you have this decision to make. Am I going to be an amateur, or am I going to become a professional? Right? An amateur can go enroll their friends. A professional enrolls people they've never met before. Right? There's an amazing person, if you don't know her in doTERRA yet, you will. Her name is Audra Robinson from Denver. And she's in her 20s, so she doesn't fit the normal profile of what's supposedly perfect for doTERRA. She's in her 20s. And she has personally enrolled, I want to say like 600 people or something crazy like that. That's a lot. Even there are presidential diamonds who have not personally enrolled that many. And she was a guest on our team call. We have a team call every Monday morning at 10 a.m. And I asked her, Audra, how many of those people did you know before you started doing doTERRA? How many of those humans? And I was expecting, I was expecting her to say, oh, I had a big network and I knew people. And she said, oh, maybe 20%, if that. So how many percent did she meet after she started? Who can do the math? 80%, right? 80% of her people that she met afterward. So what this takes, and this is the point that I kind of want to end on and keep and kind of tie up on. What is going to be needed for you to create these new results? Most of us didn't raise our hands saying that we've been great business people before. What has to happen before you can create that is something in your mind has to change. Because whatever you've been doing up to this point to furnish your current life. So let's say when I started, I had a voice studio, I had my children, I had my marriage. Whatever I was doing and had inside myself to produce that was not enough to become a presidential diamond, which I'm not there yet, working on that. Right? But a presidential diamond in doTERRA and be a businesswoman and be a coach and going all over the world and all that. I needed to do something different in my brain. How many of you have crazy like money backgrounds in your family where people tell you things can't be done or you can't ever be wealthy or you can't, I mean, how many of you kind of have that? Or how many of you have people telling you you're crazy and you're never going to be anything? Or how many of you think that to yourself, right? We almost all do not have the mental equipment necessary to produce what we want, because most of us act from where we are right now, not from where we want to be. So I'm here to invite you to act the wage that you want to be, just like Molly was saying, the authority of diamond right now in everything you do. And that requires mental reconditioning. So what I'm going to share with you right now is my #1 secret for doing this, because I've had to do this. You guys, I've reached walls in my doTERRA business where the same amount of people that were falling through I was bringing in, and I was realizing who Emily is, even though people say, oh, Emily's great. No, who I was not enough to get me to where I wanted to go. And I don't mean that like, oh, I'm not enough. That's not what I mean. I mean the power inside of me. Have you ever felt like you have all these goals, but you feel kind of weak inside? Like, oh, I just feel weak to do that. Like Molly's saying, talk to people at the gas station. You're like, I want to do that, but I feel weak inside to do that. Let me tell you, there is a way to turn that around, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, okay? Mental reconditioning. Justin and I were at something recently where a friend shared this story. Well, it's not a story, it's a true study from NASA. NASA did this incredible study about the effects of anxiety and stress on astronauts. And so they got a bunch of astronauts together, and they had them wear goggles that turned everything upside down. And so for days, all day, every day, they were seeing everything upside down, and their rates showed the normal things, anxiety, stress, all of that. Well, can anybody guess what their brain started doing around day 26 to 30? What happened? Started flipping them around. And why was that? What does that prove the brain can do? Form new what? Pathways, new neural pathways. The brain could change that. So what that shows us is that even if you have a very low mental state right now, you don't feel powerful, you don't feel like you can go talk to someone on a plane with all your passion, then the answer is not to make all these big goals that you continually fail at. The answer is to go back and say, where am I getting my power from? So you might ask yourself, how do you even do that? All right, well, this is a book that I love. If you haven't read this book, I recommend it. I just have it on a loop. People think he's my screen share. Or not my screen share, whatever what's it called? Your screen saver. Anyway, I love this book. And he teaches you how to speak things into creation. And here's where I started. There have been times in my business where I have been so low, where I've had front lines quit and things like that, where I was not doing my vision board and all the stuff that I was doing. But there's one thing that you can always do, no matter how depressed you are, no matter how weak you feel. How many of you reach for your phone usually when you wake up in the morning to check it? Do most of us have our phone by our bed? What if you had something recorded on your phone that you could stick in your ear and press play and just lay there and listen? Even if you weren't getting out of bed because it was so bad. How many of you could do that? If you had something. You could, right? You could stick it in. So I want to give you guys a little, I hope it works. I had like a sound thing.
You have a sound bite in there?
Yeah, I had a sound bite. Oh, here it is. Okay, and then do I just press it twice?
Yeah, I'll come up.
Oh, there it is. I think it needs to be louder. I don't know how to turn it up.
It might not be
Thousands and tens of thousands.
Emily, I don't think the audio jack's plugged in.
Oh, okay.
Plug it in.
Stand close again.
Okay. Okay. How do we start this again? Just go back. Okay. All right. So the reason why I love this is a lot of times you come to these events, or you'll go to other events, and they'll give you this elaborate power-up routine for your business. And when you're feeling low, you don't do it. And so it doesn't end up doing it. So I've been searching for something for a while that was so easy that even on a weekday, even on a day when I'm not on my game, I can be constantly feeding this neural reconditioning, just like the astronauts, on a very consistent basis, morning and night. First when I wake up in the morning, and then when I go to sleep at night. So what do I do now?
I am the epic leader of my doTERRA team. I am more effective and successful each day as I watch my team grow to hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands. When people meet me, they feel like they have known me forever. They feel seen, valued, loved, and validated. I give them the gift of my total attention and presence. I see them the way God sees them. I attract people who are powerful, influential, and inspiring. They have large networks and have already been successful in other areas of their lives. Together, we are agents of positive change. Our efforts reach the masses and span the globe. When I walk into a room, people think, I want to find out what she is doing. And whatever it is, I want to join her in it. My Heavenly Father is my best friend and greatest mentor. I am guided, guarded, and protected at all times. I am able to create enough time to do what is most important to me, and help always shows up when I need it. I give myself permission to be powerful. I have absolute certainty to create any amount of income. Money is flowing to me from both expected and unexpected sources. I have all the talent, intelligence, and money I need to create this next season of my business. When God created me, He stepped back and said, I like that. Another masterpiece. I am at the right time, at the right place, radiating the right spirit, saying the right things to the right people to create the greatest impact, to create the greatest abundance, and to build our team into the worldwide empire we know it was prophesied to be. I am so grateful for the incredible new builder who I met on the way home from the Wellness Prosperity Summit today.
So that's something you all can say. So this is something, these are really long, I just got a little excerpt for you, but this is something you can do. I downloaded Voice Memos, it's an app. I downloaded that and I literally just put a song on YouTube, I just looked up inspiring whatever, and put that song on, and then I just spoke it into my phone in Voice Memos, and they keep this whole playlist for you, and you can play it every morning and every night. What would happen to you if you listened to 10 minutes of that the minute you woke up in the morning and the minute, or right when you were going to bed at night? What might happen to you? It changes your mind. It could be Blue Diamond. You can say anything you want on that thing, right? Anything. And it's amazing the power that comes, but this is the step that I see is missing. We talk about mindset, 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 but we don't know what that actually looks like. And then when we hear people talking about what they do, they're like, oh, I don't think I would do that if I was feeling depressed. Well, if you're laying in bed and you don't want to get in bed, maybe at least you could do this. Like just that, just press that, right? So that's what I want to invite you to do. Wherever you are in your doTERRA journey, even if you decide you don't want to join our tribe today and you're doing something else, do this anyway for your life. It is so huge, so incredible. So this is what I've learned about how to get what I want with anything, is to ask specifically to my higher power, whatever you have for that energy source for you, surrender the form of how it's going to show up, and then constantly align with that source and with the things that I want. That means when bad things happen to you, let's say you make your 100 names list and you're out there excited, or you go to the gas station and you try to talk to people and then you experience rejection. A lot of times that'll get people off the horse for like 3 weeks. They'll be so disappointed from that. That's what that number 3 is. You get right back to where you're supposed to be. You've already asked specifically, you're going to surrender form of how your doTERRA team is going to show up, but you just consistently align. Well, that was interesting what happened. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. You will find that is the mindset that the top producers have. And don't you want that for yourself and for your kids? Don't you want your kids to see mom and dad or grandma and grandpa thinking like this, acting like this? They will inherit this from you. It is not too late to change your family legacy if you haven't been this way. I already see it happening in my children. Right after we experienced a great loss, I did this to get myself back up, and I flew to New York to teach a class there. And I arrived, and I had my declarations going, and it was that same thing. I can't wait for the new builder I'm going to meet in Manhattan. I can't wait for the new builder I'm going to meet in Manhattan. I had no idea how that was going to happen. And it was funny, Molly talked about being in an Uber. I was in an Uber, and I came in, and I sat down, and there was this gorgeous Hispanic lady there, just like full of light, sitting right there, and she leaned back. And it's so funny, think about what my declaration was. She leaned back and she said, I saw you on the bus. And I thought to myself, I want to find out what she's doing. No joke. She said exactly what was in my declaration, right? I want to find out what she's doing. And I said, well, what are you doing? I just flipped it around because I kind of wanted to know who she was. And she said, well, I just sold my halfway house, and I work with women who are, I'm doing retreats for women who have been sexually abused. And I was like, that is such a coincidence, because I do oils and we help women who have been through trauma. In fact, we're one of the largest corporate sponsors for the Operation Underground Railroad. And she grabbed my arm and tears welled up in her eyes, and she said, no way. She said, they are my favorite organization. I think they are the best in, because she's kind of in that area as well, helping women recover from sex slavery and from other forms of abuse. So it's just an incredible moment together. So it gets better, okay? So we're there, we're talking, and she said, well, what made you want to do this? And I talked about the doTERRA tribe. I talked about the irresistible culture I resisted because of the MLM for 4 years, and eventually I just said, I just had to do it. And she looked into my eyes and she said, tell me how I can join this tribe. No joke. She said, tell me how I can join this tribe. I said, okay, well, we could go to my hotel room after this, no joke. We went out to dinner that night. She signed up with a kit. She's building a business. She just flew out for a retreat. She's coming to the convention. Like, this happened, okay? This woman, she's a random woman from Florida who's now a dear, dear friend. Okay, but it gets better. In the taxi, there was this, like, total New Yorker lady in the front seat, and halfway through our conversation, she turned around and she said, do you girls have anything that'll make me feel better? I just got scammed out of $15,000. Anyway, and I was like, what? I thought she was mocking me, like, oh, these oils. And I was like, oh, are you having some anxiety? Yes, I have tons of anxiety. So I got out Breathe and Wild Orange. I put them in her hands, had her create a thing, and she's like, she's like, oh, I feel so much better. Anyway, so she gave us her information. And anyway, it turns out she had connections with helping women do the same thing in the Jewish community in Fort Lauderdale, exactly where our other friend, anyway, we're still connected. So I didn't have money to tip the driver afterward. At the end, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't have you cash. Can you give me your address? Can you give me your address so I can send you some money? I'm so sorry, I don't have anything for a tip. And he said, oh, I don't want a tip. I want to learn how to sell these oils. Like everybody in the Uber was listening. And this was just an example to me of what happens when you get in that kind of energy state. It's almost like there's a force in the universe that knows, oh, she's ready. She's ready. I can send my best their way because they're on fire, and I know they'll open their mouth. And I know that they'll have that amazing spirit with them. That's why it's so important to get your energy high. Oh, this is her. Rige, she's so cute. Anyway, oh, and I was going to talk about main reason when we were talking about our why. I have this huge why about empowering women. It's why I went into the Peace Corps. It's why I went into music. It's why I did everything that I've ever done. But seeing my children start to adopt my new mindset, start to think that abundance is possible, that goals are possible, that big things are possible, that has been the greatest reward. So this is something I want to end with that I want you to take a picture of. This is called the business of you. For those of you that have done doTERRA for a while and have felt stuck, or for those of you that are just starting and are thinking, well, how do I fit this into my personality? This is something our team just did that made a big difference. And you just simply answer these questions. And if we had time, I'd have you do it right now, but I need to close. Your next doTERRA goal, whatever that is, even if it's just make my 100 names list and schedule my meetings and invite all the people, right? How many hours a week am I going to dedicate? You carve that out. What are my strengths? I had all my team take Strengths Finder. And so you find out what your strengths are. That I'll tell you why you need that in a minute. Your strengths, all your passions, every single thing you love. I like fishing. I like hunting. Whatever you like, write that down. All your social patterns. Where do you already show up? Where are you already hanging out? Maybe you're at the pool with your kids all the time. Maybe you're at work and you have lunch breaks. Write every single place you ever are. Then number 6, based on all of this, numbers 1 through 5, that's how you make a plan to personally enroll people. What would be the easiest way for you to start doing that? What are you already doing that would be easy? One of our team members did this who was so stuck. And I asked her, well, where are you already hanging out? She's like, well, all my sons play baseball. Okay. And I said, what are you passionate about? And she says, well, I just love people. I love helping people. And I said, well, what are your strengths? She's like, well, I'm really compassionate. I have lots of compassion. I said, okay, just think for a minute, looking at all of this, what would be the easiest path? This is the words I want you to write down. Your path of least resistance to enroll people. Okay, this is how to get unstuck. Your path of least resistance. And she said, well, I could give deep blue samples to everybody on the baseball team and then do a class on athletics. And she just came up with that in a minute. I'm like, what? Haven't we been doing this before? But she had just never thought of it that way, right? So that's your path of least resistance. Then finding a way to be accountable for that plan. And then back to what we talked about before, continually aligning with what you want, right? Continually aligning with what you want. Our friend Andrew Donovan came to our team and taught us this, and it's just been revolutionary. So this is the final thing I'll show you here. So remember my website that I had for being a voice teacher? This was something I just added to it because I'm already doing music, right? So how is your vocal health? We underestimate how much better we could sing if our blah, 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 blah. After 4 years of using essential oils, blah, 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 John encouraged me, schedule a free consultation if you're interested in learning how to effectively use essential oils to support your voice, blah, 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 blah. And then I have a video that I made and different things that lets them know. So all the people that come to my vocal website, they can go and see vocal health right there. So whatever you're already doing, how could doTERRA come into that? And that's what I like to call the business of you. So my final invitation to all of you is to choose to create residual income for your family. Choose to be in doTERRA for the long haul. Choose to take the time to develop your reputation and develop the skills and develop the mindset. It will be the journey of a lifetime. The greatest gift that will come to you will be who this journey produced in you. And a lot of times, most of the time people, no, I shouldn't say most of the time, but the people that I see quitting, quit before it has a chance to do that. They quit while they're in the crucible, before they're popped out on the other end with all their new knowledge. So choose to be consistent. Choose to have a why that will anchor you till the end of time. All I have to do is think about the doTERRA tribe, and my why is like there. I'm like, oh my gosh, no way am I getting off this ship. No way am I not going to have my family associate with this, because there is nothing like it on the whole planet. There is nothing like this company on the whole planet. And so whatever your why is, let it have the sticking power to get you through whatever it is. And my invitation to you is to create abundance. Whether you're on the 2-year plan or the 10-year plan to Presidential Diamond, you will get there if you don't give up and if you continually improve yourself. So aloha, love you guys.